All right, so my name is Michael DeLu. Today is episode 48 of PullUpDaTape. Today is also December 23rd, 2020. I'm really excited to get into today's show, and let's just jump right into it, all right? So the NBA season started yesterday. Season 55 has just began. I'm really, really excited about this shit. The Lakers started off the night by getting their championship rings. Festive, very festive night, and then, we got to business. So unfortunately, the Clippers ended up beating the Los Angeles Lakers 116-109, and I say unfortunately because I am a Laker fan, and I'm also the voice of Laker Nation. You better stop playing with me. I'm the voice of the streets and Laker Nation, all right? Look me up. Stop playing with me, all right? You already know what it is. Don't play with me, all right? And honestly, when I was watching the game, I was like, all right, I definitely from a very, at an early point in the game, realized the Lakers didn't come to play tonight. Definitely didn't come to play tonight. They were down 22 at the end of the first quarter. And I was just like, all right. And I think they almost gave up 40 points, if I'm not mistaken. They were able to rally back, but definitely I don't even think the Lakers led at all, actually, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember the Lakers leading at all. But one thing I did notice, and I'm always going to give props to where props is due. Even though I am a Laker fan, I'm an unbiased podcast as well as sports reporter, and I'm always going to give credit where credit is due. Even if I don't like the player, I think the player is honestly trash, but hey, it is what it is. I'll honestly say that the Clippers got exactly what they thought they were going to get from PG. And by that, I mean, obviously he was the player of the game. He had 26 points in one half, and not even one half. He did have 26 points in one half, not the first one, but the second one. And honestly, he played lights out. He was stellar. He started off the game pretty shaky and looking bad, like he was breaking a couple shots, and he passed the ball to the referee. But after that, he just turned up and just went crazy. But even though he did play very, very good, I'm not impressed. And the reason why I'm not impressed is because I've never, we all know that Paul George is a talented player. For anybody to say he sucks, or he's not good, or he's not this, he's not that. Honestly, that's not true. The only thing Paul George isn't is present during the playoffs. Aside from that, obviously, Paul, I've said this thousands and thousands of times. I wouldn't say so many, but there's a couple players in the NBA that you wouldn't be surprised if you saw 50 points next to their name. Paul George, he's one of them. You wouldn't be surprised if you seen 50 points next to his name. Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Damian Lillard, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Jamal Murray. There's a couple players, most of the All-Stars, and then, even somebody like Karis LeVert. I wouldn't be, I seen Karis LeVert drop 38 or something like that. I think the very first episode of PullUpDaTape, Karis LeVert dropped 30-something. That's what I reacted to. Again, Paul George is not one of those people I would be surprised if he has a big game, because he's actually a very talented and skilled player. But the only knock on him, and the knock on him has always been, well, you're really good in the regular season, and as recently as of 2018, regular season, you were in MVP talks and discussions and were finalists for the MVP. We know you can ball, but why don't you do it in the playoffs? Why is it that it seems like you shy away during the playoffs? Why is it that it seems like your play literally decreases? Everything about you decreases. Points per game, net efficiency, PER, everything goes down in the playoffs. Why? All right, I'm impressed, but not really impressed. And honestly, yesterday's win from the Clippers, it didn't really do anything. It didn't really do anything to my mental and how I feel about the Lakers going back to back as champions. I still think the Lakers are going to go back to back as champions. Quote me on that. Quote me on that. The Lakers are still going back to back. Don't play yourself and be dumb. I don't want to see anybody saying, "Oh, well, the Clippers." Are you? I'm going to keep it clean. Are you dumb? Are you dumb? Stop playing. The Clippers are not winning anything this year. All right? Again, look, and just analyze what happened. It took Paul George scoring 33 points. Is it 33 or 30? 33 points for the Lakers to beat the Clippers to beat the Lakers. Do you think that's going to happen? Do you think that's going to happen 4 times in a 7-game series? Hell no. Do you think? Wait. Do you think? And I'm gonna get into the numbers right now. LeBron James had 22 points, 5 rebounds. He went 7 of 17. How often is that going to happen? More times, not likely. Anthony Davis only had 18 points and 7 rebounds and went 8 for 15 from the field. How often is that going to happen? Not very often. Dennis Schroeder, 14 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 for 15 from the field. Actually, very, very good game from Dennis Schroeder. Was flirted with a triple-double, 2 assists away from triple-double in his first game in the purple and gold. Montrezl Harrell, 17 points, 10 rebounds, 6 of 7. Kyle Kuzma, 15 points, 6 of 11. All right. How often is LeBron James going to be held under 25 points? Not often. How often is LeBron going to be held to not nearly 10 assists? Not often. How often is Anthony Davis going to be held to 18 points and 7 rebounds? Not often. That's honestly an average game for Anthony Davis. That's not going to happen often. We know what those two bring to the table. All right? We know what those two bring to the table. So I don't really see that happening often. And as good as Paul George played, they only won by 7 points. So, I mean, you can spin it either way, but I like to be realistic. First game of the season, and honestly, this is what happened last year. The Lakers lost the first game of the season to the Clippers, and look what happened then. Went on to win the NBA championship. So, not really too worried about that. Honestly, I don't really. Props to the Clippers for getting a win. I'm pretty sure this is going to be an important win to them. Gives them, the confidence that, we can beat the Lakers. I guess. I mean, can you beat them when it really matters, though? But anyways, let me get into Clippers box score. So Kawhi Leonard had 26 points, 2 rebounds. Didn't really shoot too efficient last night. 10 of 26 from the field. Paul George had 33 points, 6 rebounds, 13 and 8 from the field, 26 points in the second half. Salute to you, Paul George. Salute to you, PG. I guess the first thing he wanted to do was come out and stop calling me Pandemic P. So he, way off. I'll never forget that. Serge Ibaka, 15 points, 6 rebounds, 5 of 7 from the field. Patrick Beverley, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 of 9 from the field. Ivica Zubac, 11 points, 6 rebounds, 4 of 5 from the field. Lou Williams, Lemon Pepper Lou, 11 points, 4 of 9, 3 assists, and 2 rebounds. So the Clippers' next game is on Christmas against the Nuggets. We'll see how they perform in that one. And the Lakers' next game is against the Mavericks, and we'll see how they perform in that one. Again, very excited to even just have basketball back. That's really exciting to me. I love it. I was very happy to see that basketball is back, because football season is winding down, and one of the 3 sports that I mainly cover is going to, be absent, going on a hiatus for a couple months. Not a couple, for actually a long time. It's going to be 9 months? After the end of January, you got 9 months of no football. But hey, it is what it is. So salute to the Clippers again. I'm never one to and shout out to Tyronn Lue and his coaching staff for getting their first win under the Tyronn Lue era of the Los Angeles Clippers. Again, Paul George, shout out to him. One thing I'm always say is like I said, nobody's ever said that Paul George is not good, but we know he's a skilled player and he's a talented player. Same thing with James Harden. Everybody knows that James Harden is a talented player. But I mean, in the playoffs, what really happens what really happens? Not much. I mean, obviously James Harden doesn't disappear the way Paul George does, but I mean, it's still kind of the same effect where it's just okay, well, we know what we're going to get from you from the regular season, but can you actually produce quality performance and quality minutes in a playoff game? Can you remain efficient? Can you remain the same MVP caliber player that you are during the regular season? And unfortunately for those two players that I just named, as of right now, it's a no. So, I mean, we're going to have to wait till the next playoffs to see. But as of right now, it's a no. I'm not really too impressed by the win. Again, I said it already, but let me get to the next game. So, the Nets beat the Warriors like they stole something from them. And it was bad. It was bad. So, the Nets won last night, 125-99 in KD's New York. I said New York. Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, New York, Brooklyn, all that. Brooklyn Nets debut. So, they won 125-99. And when I was watching the game, I was like, I don't know about this one. I just got into an argument with some of the guys at the studio, and we are just talking about whether the Warriors are going to be contenders or how good they were going to be in the Western Conference this year. And I'm honestly going to say, I said that they'll make the playoffs. They'll play a decent team, probably be a 4, 5, 6 seed. I don't know about that after what I saw yesterday. And I'll admit, I'm not actually sure if it's the fact that Brooklyn is so good or the Warriors just looked that trash, because it's honestly a bit of both. I understand that Brooklyn is a good and very deep team, but damn, the Warriors were getting smacked by like 30 at one point, like 35 or something like that. I'm like, bro, this is, and I fell asleep. And I woke up. I fell asleep after the first half. I woke up right in time for the Laker game. It's just crazy. It's like my body knows exactly when I wake up. But after watching that, I was just like, I don't know. I really don't know about the Warriors again. From what I saw yesterday, I'm like, damn, this team could be headed again towards not making the playoffs. And I would say a lottery pick, because I mean, if Steph Curry stays healthy all season, I don't see them getting no fucking lottery pick. But I'm kind of on the fringe now of whether they'll make again, I still obviously have to see more. Sample size is pretty small. The Warriors played like the second best, in my opinion, the second best team in the NBA, and they got thrashed. So I mean, and also Steph didn't shoot the best last night. So I really don't know. Well, in like a month, I'll figure out. I'll peel back to this game and like really analyze it again and see. All right, well, this is what's really happening right now versus this is what's really happening. But again, sample size isn't big enough. But anyways, how I knew I don't know how I knew that this was going to be an iffy game for the Warriors is they gave up 40 points in the first quarter, 99 points through 3 quarters, and it was just like very, very bad to watch. And props to the Nets for playing lights out. They played incredible. They didn't skip a beat. They didn't miss a beat. I want everyone to remember that this team made the playoffs, and they had a lot of key players that didn't even go to the bubble, and they still made the playoffs. Like they played decent they played good enough to make the playoffs in the bubble. Without a lot, like they signed the most players during that inactive period where the NBA was gone for like 5 months. They signed the most players because a lot of their players weren't going to the bubble. They still made the playoffs. And that team now just got Kyrie back, because Kyrie, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Kyrie didn't go to the bubble. Got Kyrie back, KD's back, and now they're just thrashing teams and they look great. They honestly look incredible. Like, no cap. They look great. 40 points in one quarter, 100 and part of that is the Warriors' defense was just lackluster and garbage. But part of that is, I mean, KD is KD, Kyrie is Kyrie. Kyrie, I seen Kyrie put the moves on good than a mug. Kyrie put the moves on Brad Wanamaker. Y'all know what play I'm talking about. He was got to the basket, faked him, and then just pulled up. Hayaka. Ooh, get dubbed. Yes, Kyrie did his shit, honestly. And nobody's surprised to ever see Kyrie go off, because we know what Kyrie can do. This was KD's first game in 520 days. Around 18 months. 18 months, because the last time he played was June of 2019. So yeah, it was exactly like around 18 months. So, and another thing, man, again, I already said it, but the Nets as a team are deep. Peep this. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Joe Harris, DeAndre Jordan, Spencer Dinwiddie. That's their starting 5. Off the bench, they have Karis LeVert, who can start on honestly, Karis LeVert can start on like 80% of the teams in the NBA. Jared Allen can start on like 60% of the league, the teams in the NBA. Torian Prince would be a good rotational piece in any team in the NBA. And Landry Shamet can start on like probably half the teams in the NBA. Sharpshooter, and if he doesn't start, he's going to be a key member of their rotation. The Nets have a really good team. The Nets have players all the players that are coming off the Nets bench have playoff experience that were playing in the playoffs last year. All of them, every single one of them. That's their bench. Come on, man. If the Lakers meet the Nets in the finals, they're gonna have their hands full. Man, that's the only team that I fear for my Lakers that probably they wouldn't have an easy beating. Other than that, yeah. The Bucks, no. The Clippers, no. No other team scares me besides the Brooklyn Nets. But let me get into the actual figures of the game. So Kevin Durant had 22 points, went 7 of 16 from the field, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Kyrie Irving had 26 points, 10 for 16, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Karis LeVert with a 20-burger, 6 of 17, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Joe Harris poured in 10 points, 4 of 8 from the field, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. Steph Curry. One thing before I get into the Warriors box score, I'm gonna say this about Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry better make the fucking playoffs. All right. And here's why. Last year, Chris Paul and the Oklahoma City Thunder had a 3% chance to make the playoffs when the season started. They made the playoffs. All right. And I dare someone to literally come out and prove to me that you picked them to make it to the playoffs, because no one did. I didn't. My homies didn't. We all thought Oklahoma City would be relevant. Chris Paul takes them to the playoffs. James Harden has taken bum-ass Rocket teams to the playoffs. The 2016 team to be exact. LeBron James has taken bum-ass teams to the playoffs. Damian Lillard pulled up to the bubble and dropped 50 on multiple occasions to take his team to the playoffs. If Steph Curry doesn't take this team to the playoffs, if Steph Curry doesn't take this team to the playoffs, even the 8th seed, I don't know, man. I do not know. An MVP caliber player is supposed to be able to, like, basketball. Basketball is one of those sports where if you have one really, really good player, he can sway the outcome of games. Like, one really, really good player sways the and Steph Curry is that really, really good player. So he can sway the outcomes of a lot of games because he's just that good. So what I saw from him last night isn't going to cut it for the rest of the season. Straight up. What I saw from Steph Curry last night, not going to cut it. Not going to cut it at all. 20 points, 7 of 21 from the field, 6 rebounds, and 10 assists. It's the 7 of 21 for me. That is not going to cut it. Kelly Oubre, 3 of 14, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. That's not going to cut it. James Wiseman, 19 points, 7 of 13, 5 rebounds. Pretty good rookie debut, but don't take the 19 points to straight to the head. They were down most of the game. I think the closest they were the closest they were was when the game first started. And then after that, like, 20 points was probably the closest they got it back down to even tying the game. Andrew Wiggins played fucking terrible. 13 points, 4 of 16, 2 rebounds. Yeah, if this type of stuff continues to happen, the Warriors aren't going anywhere. Nowhere. Hopefully the Warriors bounce back. I don't know how they'll look against I don't know exactly how they'll look against the Bucks on Christmas, but I honestly don't expect them to win that game. And for the Nets, I would love to see the Nets beat up on a team like, Miami, beat up on a team like the Celtics, beat up on a team like the Wizards, beat up on a team like the Bucks. I'm not really too impressed. I am impressed, but I'm not too impressed because, one, the sample size isn't a lot, and two, I know the Warriors aren't the best defensive team, especially with the roster they filled it out yesterday. I don't know about that. No. So last topic of today's podcast, Juju Smith. All right, so today's Wednesday. Yesterday, because the day before was Monday Night Football, a reporter asked Mike Tomlin if he was going to talk to Juju Smith about his pregame antics and dancing and, on other people's field, in the middle of the field, whatever, prior to the game. And he said that, yeah, he's going to talk to him, have a conversation with Juju. And I'm a little torn between, I always want, like I said in yesterday's podcast, I always want people to express themselves and, be who they are and, be comfortable in their own skin. And I love fun. I love taunting. But, I honestly, I'm gonna have to, and I said how I feel about Juju, and that I've seen him progress from high school in Long Beach Poly to USC when he stiff armed Dominique Hatfield and just pointed at him, was like, "Come on, I need that, all the smoke." Just shoved his face straight to the ground to where he's at in the NFL. But I want to say this. Since Antonio Brown left the Steelers almost 2 years ago, Juju Smith Schuster has had 100-yard receiving game. Just one. He's averaging, and since that span, he's averaging roughly 50 yards a game. Since that span, Danny Amendola has had more receiving yards than him. And also in that span, he's had 10 more receiving yards than Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow is like the 4th receiver on the depth chart for the Raiders. And as of right now, he's the 47th. The 47th. Like the Hat Brand 47, he's the 47th best receiver in football. That's fucking terrible. Okay, look. If that's the case, everything I said is true. You are not good enough to be acting a full pregame because, look, personally, football is such a serious sport, and like between the white lines, you have to be locked in. Like that all that stuff does not make sense, bro. Like, and at the end of the day, it's about respect. That is not something you should be doing. Like, and you know what the crazy thing is? Oh my God. He's been doing this for a while now. He did it on the Cowboys field. He did it on the Jaguars field. He did it on the Bills field. He did it on the Steelers field. He did it on the Bengals field. But now it's starting to create a storyline because he got his shit smacked by Von Bell and he had 3 catches for 15 yards. If you're a fantasy owner of Juju Smith, I know you're not happy. Especially if you needed a big game from him. I hope everything works out. I hope he cuts that out. There's nothing wrong with dancing and doing that. Corvette. But the middle of the field you don't need to do that there. And honestly, pick it up, please. Jesus Christ, pick it up. What I'm seeing from Juju Smith right now is not at all what I thought I would be seeing from him. And the sample size of him without AB is starting to look crazy because he's starting to look just like a regular receiver, Like he's not wowing me anymore. He's not like doing any like Juju needs to be focused on getting in the end zone and getting his stats up. The way it's looking right now, no, it's not. Juju's not going to have 1,000 yards this year. He's probably going to have like 800. Not that that's terrible, but I mean, his rookie season he had roughly 1,000 if I'm not mistaken. But that's going to be the end of today's podcast. Appreciate you guys for listening, rocking with me. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Stay blessed. Viral movie, Favi, bow, shake the room. Rest in peace, Pop Smoke.